Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about why I've decided to start a real estate agency in New Zealand. Now, throwback to 2021, I decided that I wanted to be a real estate agent. I was working for a church before that, just felt like I wanted to change. And yeah, for me personally, I felt like a lot of my skills lined up with what I had seen real estate agents do, working with people, problem solving, being warm, charismatic, being a good communicator, being consistent. Anyway, so I started in real estate, and 2 months after, my first sale, the market completely tanked here in New Zealand. And that meant that, I was listing some properties and they just weren't selling. We'd slice the price, but there was just so much stock on the market, not enough demand. It was really difficult for buyers to get finance, and so meant that it was a little bit difficult for me to start to build a business. Now, all through the market, I still stayed consistent with all of my inputs. I was prospecting really hard, but it just felt like the real estate agency I was working with didn't really bring their value to the table like I felt like I was. And if you figured out the commission splits, which a lot of real estate agents don't actually do, it's probably on net 50%. And the value I was getting from my agency, which was a bit of a small one in this market, Remax, wasn't really providing 45% worth of the value. Now, I'm not making excuses. I was the one who decided to work for that agency. And for the most part, I had a great experience, had a great sales manager, had a great team. But I definitely realized that the agency model in New Zealand is pretty broken, and it hasn't changed a lot over the last few years, especially with the traditional agencies, the big brands. Now, I ended up leaving real estate, moving more into property. I became sales and marketing manager at a property development company here in Lower Hutt. Had a great experience there for 2 years. Loved working there. One of the things I definitely picked up was working more on the systems and automation, app development side, which I thoroughly enjoyed. That led me off to starting a software studio, doing agency work for companies and startups, building apps and software. That was called App House. And one of the big connections I made was with a company called Only. Now, Only is run by a guy called Sam McIntyre, who's brilliant. He was the founder of Tall Poppy in New Zealand, one if not the fastest growing agency in New Zealand at the time. And he wanted to address the same problem that I was facing with agencies. Now, one of the ways he was doing that was helping agents set up their own bespoke real estate brands. And I was running marketing for him. Okay, sorry, I just had to walk under a bridge. So agents that wanted to launch with Only had to meet some minimum criteria. So they had to be earning at least 1 mil in GCI. So starting a brand with Only was sort of always out of reach for me when I was an agent. But one of the things that Only really opened my eyes to was an agency that focused on making the value about the agent and really serving the agent, and not just offering kind of cookie cutter value that a traditional agency would be offering. And I got talking to Sam, and one of the things he brought up after my probably 500th business idea that he shut down was, hey, what if you started your own agency? You could be powered and backed by Only, which would handle all of the design, compliance, back office, admin support, etc., legal work. But you could start your own brand, and instead of being a real estate agent, you could be an agency owner. You could use all of the skills I'd picked up with marketing, with systems, software development, but instead of being the agent, you could be the answer to the problem that I was facing and be an agency owner. So it brings us to today. We're probably about 3 months into developing this agency. We haven't launched yet. but we're just about to start recruitment, and it's one of the reasons why I'm going to start doing these videos. It's because I want to tell the story, document the journey, but also just like peel back the curtain for people to understand how broken the current system is for agents. You know, you work 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9 every single day, and your agency takes home 50% of your paycheck. And what do they really offer you, you know? You might get some Rookie of the Year awards or suburb awards. You might get free coffee. You might get a wee desk. But are they actually helping propel your business forward? You know, there's nothing wrong with paying 50% if the other side of that equation is offering that much value. But my experience was, it just wasn't the case. And the way it works in New Zealand is you actually have to operate under an agent license. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started, get the brand out there, get recruiting, and I hope you stay along for the journey. Follow this channel to learn more, and obviously send me a message if you're interested to join.